This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
And how many people need EMS?
Ma'am, I'm telling you, it's dark. There's 4 or 5 kids. There's kids laying in ditches and streets.
That was a 911 call from last June when 4 people were killed by a drunk driver. The driver was 16-year-old Ethan Couch. He was speeding with a blood alcohol level more than 3 times the legal limit. Couch has admitted to his crime, and in a case that went before a Texas judge, prosecutors sought a 20-year sentence. Instead, he was sentenced to 10 years probation after a psychologist claimed he suffered from affluenza, which he described as growing up in a house where the parents were preoccupied with arguments that led to a divorce. On Wednesday, a judge ordered him to go to an expensive rehabilitation facility paid for by his parents. This is CNN's Anderson Cooper questioning the psychologist.
A 14-year-old African-American child was sentenced by this same judge a year or 2 ago. This 14-year-old killed one person punching him. That person fell and hit his head on the sidewalk and died. That African-American child got 10-year sentence, got sent to the juvenile justice facility. I mean, why should there be a separate system just because you have money?
I don't think there is a separate system. This young man will be a ward of the state for 10 years, Anderson. 10 years that if he missteps any time, that judge can send him to the penitentiary.
That was on Anderson Cooper's on CNN. Couch will reportedly be attending a rehab facility that costs $450,000 a year. Maria Mitchell, whose daughter Brianna was killed in the accident, spoke to reporters shortly after the ruling.
No matter what game he or his family think they've beaten, the world is not ever going to take their eyes off from him. And they're going to be waiting. They're going to be waiting for him to mess up again if he does.
Well, for more, we're joined by 2 guests. In Dallas, Texas, we're joined by Richard Alpert, who prosecuted the case against Ethan Couch. He's the Tarrant County Assistant District Attorney. In Chicago, we're joined by Boyce Watkins, a Syracuse University professor, founder of YourBlackWorld.net, recently wrote a piece headlined, "Rich White Kids Have Affluenza, Poor Black Kids Go to Prison." We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Let's go to the prosecutor in the case, Richard Alpert. Can you lay out what happened in Wednesday's hearing? How is it that affluenza is used to get Ethan Couch off? He killed not only 4 people, but critically injured others.
Well, the Wednesday hearing was just a conclusion of the proceedings that started 6 weeks ago. The affluenza came out of the mouth of Dr. Miller, who was on the Anderson Cooper clip you just played. And basically, because the defense position was because he had this profoundly dysfunctional family, because he was a child of privilege, because his parents let him do what he wanted to do, that somehow he wasn't responsible. It was the parents' fault, not his fault, that this crime occurred. And it's a contention that we found to be just ludicrous. It's a contention that we confronted in the courtroom. We thought we did so effectively. And, you know, the judge obviously didn't give the sentence we wanted to be given. We thought the pen time was appropriate for this young man.
And has this kind of defense been used previously?
I've never heard of anyone claiming that the fact that a person has privilege, that the person comes from money, is something that entitles them to different consequences. I've never heard that before. Again, I mean, the phrase that was thrown out there, from what I've seen after the fact, it doesn't even apply to this situation. It was never meant as a defense, and it just wasn't credible. So I think it's a one-shot kind of situation. I don't think that anyone's going to attempt to do this, and again, since the judge made the determination, we don't know what factors she considered.
I was watching Alex Lemus being interviewed. His younger brother, 16-year-old Sergio Molina, was in the car, as was Alex, with Ethan Couch, begging him to slow down. Sergio Molina is minimally responsive now, and it has been a long time. He can hardly move. He doesn't respond. This is Alex Lemus talking about his brother.
They told us that basically that's as much as he's going to rehabilitate, but that's that's all we can hope for is how he is right now for the rest of his life.
His brother says he has quit his job to stay with Sergio all the time.
That's my life. If I have to become a scientist to go up in there and fix him, that's my life, man. That's how much I love him.
That's Alex Lemus describing his brother's condition right now. Alex went on to say, actually, he said, not only does a rich white person get off, but they invent words that then people have to say, like affluenza. Boyce Watkins, can you respond to this? You wrote a piece called "Rich White Kids Have Affluenza, Poor Black Kids Go to Prison."
You know, I can say that starting life as a poor black kid myself, you know, I find it actually quite interesting that that his wealth can be a source of privilege and opportunity and an asset for him all throughout his life. But then suddenly that asset is contorted into a liability, which ultimately makes it into another asset. You know, I know guys who have gotten 40 years in prison for possession of 1 gram of crack cocaine. I had an older brother who went to prison at an early age, and it led him down a spiral of mental illness that stayed with him until he died. I was personally offended by what this judge did, and I really think that this judge, particularly since this sentence was so inconsistent with previous sentences, particularly with African American defendants, I think the judge should be investigated for corruption. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of link, financially or otherwise, or politically, that led to this outcome. I think everyone should be outraged, not just African Americans, but pretty much all of us, which I think is the case.
And Boyce Watkins, in terms of this becoming some kind of a precedent in our new age here of a tale of two countries, really, that we have between rich and poor in America?
Well, we already have a tale of two countries. I mean, America has really become addicted to capitalism, extreme capitalism. I'm a finance professor, and so I don't hate capitalism, but at the same time, I know that capitalism is powerful, like fire or a drug, which can either cook your food and keep you warm or burn you and your family alive. And ultimately, in America, you see that the gap between the rich and the poor is growing more and more every year, and it's really affecting our political and judicial systems. Also, we have two tales here. When it comes to race, the United Nations has repeatedly cited the United States for having a two-tier society when it comes to the educational system, the economic system, and the criminal justice system. Everyone kind of knows about the joke except for us. And so when you talk about a kid like Ethan Couch, I'd say that the best cure for his affluenza would be prison. And I think most people know that. And I think we have to understand that this judge is just one judge who made a bad decision. But at the same time, it could be something that could be applied all across the country, because most studies show that disparate sentencing does exist between races and between people with different socioeconomic statuses.
We're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you both for being with us. Boyce Watkins, Syracuse University professor, founded YourBlackWorld.net, wrote "Rich White Kids Have Affluenza, Poor Black Kids Go to Prison." Thank you so much to Richard Alpert, Tarrant County Assistant District Attorney, one of the prosecutors in the affluenza case. That does it for the broadcast. You can go to our website for the transcript or the video audio podcast. Marks now produced by Mike Burke, Renee Felser, Martin Newman, Shakespeare Martinez, Sam Malcolm, Honey, Masood Rabi, Karen Dina Gazdar,